Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ESA Summer 2021. We are raising money for Save the Children. Links to donate can be found below the stream. We would like to thank our sponsors for this event, Twitch and ViewSonic. And now we have got Jackalacka, who will be running Spongebob's Truth or Square, any percent no LSG. Take it away.
Hello, my name is jackalacka. We're doing a Truth or Square no level skip glitch run for ESA today. I'm joined by my two great friends, Jaxler and Sam on the commentary, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
All right, hi, I'm Jaxler.
Hi, I'm Sam, aka Bubble Bass.
Yeah, and I think as far as just introducing this game, it's probably best to just give a little bit of context. This is the third in the Heavy Iron developed trilogy of SpongeBob games, and unlike its predecessors, Battle for Bikini Bottom and SpongeBob Movie, this is built on a different engine, so it plays a lot differently than those two. So if you've seen those runs but not this one, you're in for just a pretty unique ride. So timing starts when I press A on new game, so I'm ready to go whenever.
Should one of us count down, or is it?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, I'll count you off.
All right, awesome.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Good luck, Jack.
Good luck, dude.
Bro.
Appreciate it, guys. All right, here we go. So it's probably best to just kind of talk just quick about how this game is laid out. So basically, the whole plot of it is that SpongeBob forgot the Krabby Patty's secret formula, and in order to remember it, he has to go through a lot of his old memories from back in the day. So that's the excuse that the developers gave us to be able to go through a ton of just different levels in the SpongeBob cinematic universe. So we're going into Jellyfish Fields to start out, and this is going to be the first of a ton of different robot ambush sections. So there's going to be 5 or so enemies, and we have to defeat them before we can go to the next area. And in this game, we have the only abilities we have right now are just jump and the spatula attack. And because the spatula attack has quite a bit of lag on its animation, you want to try and hit all the as many enemies at once as you can to try and maximize the amount, or to try and speed up the animation as much as possible. So we try and shoot for doubles and even triples if we can manage it. But I mean, getting a double in that situation was totally fine.
Yeah, for context, every time you get a double, it saves about a second per hit. So Jack will be doing a couple of things to manipulate enemy positioning. The gist of it is that the enemies will just generally try to find a straight path towards SpongeBob, so you can actually change where SpongeBob is positioned so that they kind of walk right into a double hit. A little bit of a shortcut here to jump up to the 5th one, and then Jack is going to jump on the Tiki to set up for something called Tiki Jump or Button Skip. There's a couple names for it.
Yeah, there we go.
Got it, nice. So there's a little bit of the cliff that extends past the fence there that allows you to get up to the button and avoid having to jump and platform around. You might be wondering, why didn't we just jump straight to the button? The button is actually inactive until you kill all the robot enemies, which is a very... It's weird because that's the only instance in the game where something like that happens.
Yeah. They put us at the first level, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So going into this, after this section, we're going into the sort of crucial trick of this level, which are the barrel jumps. Now, you're going to be seeing these sort of, you might see them on the broken down ship to Jack's left as we make our way through this next section, I'm not sure. But the barrel decorations in this level actually have physics, and they can be pushed around by just sort of walking into them with your body. And so Jack's going to be rolling some barrels in order to create platforms to skip a lot of these sections at the end of the level. So there's a big open area here that you're supposed to platform to, but Jack's going to immediately veer off to the right and grab this barrel over here. He's going to put it onto the long side so it's easier to roll, and then use a bit of geometry on the wooden plank to push it up against the rock, which gets it the perfect distance for a double jump. So that's the first barrel, and now coming up we have the legendary barrel 2, which Jack is going to go for because it's a bit faster than some of the other ways you can get through the cavern segment. You're going to see Jack cancel his slam on the wall to make sure that he doesn't break any of the barrels. And in order to get the height he needs the barrel to be above horizontal. So what he's doing is he's trying to ramp the barrel up using the wall, and then that gets standing upright. That was a really good job. That was a good backup.
Yeah, good backup there.
Yeah, no, like the barrels can be like very like unforgiving. Like with the first one, it can like fall off that platform and it's really difficult to back it up from there. And if you get like the second one in that corner, like horizontal, you could just get it stuck forever and have to get like one of the other barrels in the room. So that I'm really happy I got that.
You missed it there, but Jack also did slide skip, which is kind of the skips going down the slide by staying to the edge of it because it actually doesn't put you into the slide animation.
Yeah, and you can't jump when you're in the sliding animation. So this fight is really complex under the hood, so I'll try to kind of briefly explain some of the manips. The way that the fight is programmed is that the game will try to spawn 3 blue robots and then fill in with green hammer robots either until the arena count of enemies reaches 5 or it is they have enough, so you have just enough robots to fulfill the 25 counters. So what Jack is doing is he's actually counting spawns and kills using the little counter in the bottom right corner in order to know where the last robot is going to spawn, so he doesn't have to wander too far out of his way. That was very well executed, Jack. Good job.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that jellyfish. I thought I could maybe get like the 1 cycle, but I had to like turn around to hit one of the hammer bots at the start, so it was a little unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not a random fight, but every little change in movement will affect the way in which the robots spawn into the arena. So it's less random and more, you just have to have done this enough times to have learned all of the variations for the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, but like right after this, we're going into Kelp Forest, and this is going to be the first instance of a hammer clip that we're going to be using to get out of bounds. If one of you guys want to explain Kelp out of bounds,
you got it.
Yeah, okay, sure. So this is a variation of the Kelp out of bounds trick called the juke. It's like the current fastest setup for this trick, and it's like I'd probably say the least consistent, but Jack's really consistent as he found it.
Yeah.
But we're gonna walk into this corner here to manipulate all the robots to follow him to the corner. And once he gets them in the corner, he's actually going to walk across to the other side of this area. And then once he's in the corner, he's going to jump up at the bottom of the ship. Nice. Just like that.
Oh my god.
That trick is so hard.
Yeah, that is very hard.
Oh,
that's good,
man.
Jack.
And now that Jack's gotten out of bounds, what he's going to do is double jump and then slam at this tunnel. That hits a checkpoint trigger from out of bounds, tricking the game into thinking he went through the tunnel normally, and that skips like a minute-long ambush.
Yeah.
So that was extremely well executed.
Oh my heart is racing. That trick is so scary to go for, especially in a marathon setting. So I'm just so super happy I got it.
Yeah. So right here, Jack got a power-up. We'll explain what it does later. You just saw him do what's called a spin boost. When you spin into a spinner robot with the spinning blade attack, it will clank you off and bounce you away horizontally. But if you jump right before this happens, it'll actually boost you really high into the air in a way the game didn't really intend. So Jack is going to be using that throughout this level and throughout the run in order to get extra height to skip platforming segments. You're also, now that he has this power-up equipped, you're going to see him do a form of movement tech called spin hopping. I know the names are a little bit confusing, but essentially what spin hopping is it's tapping A to do the shortest possible jump height and then spinning. So when you have the buff power-up equipped, the spin move mid-air that we unlock in this level, it sends us further by moving us faster. So if we jump and then try to land on the ground as soon as possible, we can maximize the amount of speed that this move gets us. So right here, Jack is manipulating spawns. He's getting this blue spinner robot to spawn right in front of him so he can spin boost to gain height and then hit the paddle. Normally you're supposed to hit a bunch of buttons in order to bring that paddle switch down, but instead you can just spin boost to the top of it and it's still active.
Yeah. And so we probably noticed there's when he spun the paddle, he actually propelled forward a little bit. That's what we call a paddle boost. There's a lot of different boosts with a lot of spinning and whatnot. But yeah, it's a little swag try you can do. And speaking of swag tries, there's another one called
Gate skip. Hey, let's go. Save a second.
Yeah. So it takes 1 second, but it's really awesome.
All right, now right here, this is really interesting. These flowers act like Venus flytraps. If you get too close, they'll suck you in and take your buff power up.
Nice.
But their hitboxes are very small compared to what they actually look like. Nice.
Very clean.
Oh man.
Well done. You're supposed to do, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're supposed to do there. It makes a lot more sense in a casual, if you played the game casually. But you're not supposed to have this buff power. One of the properties of it is that all of your attacks deal double damage, and because Jack successfully kept the buff power up into this fight, he'll do double damage here. So normally this is a 3-phase boss fight, but now it's a 2-phase boss fight because we dealt double damage on that hit.
Yeah.
So he's just gonna manip. Nice.
There we go. See if I can get it. I did not get it at all in practice.
If you stay in the right spot here, you have to beware the happiness object spawns, and then you'll be clipped up into like the chest and grab it while you're still in the cutscene of it spawning in. And saves like a few seconds.
Let's see if he gets it. It's super precise. That looks good. Oh, that looks perfect. Nice.
Nice. Let's go.
4 seconds. Let's go.
I'm so inconsistent that trick. I'm very surprised.
This cup was really solid.
Yeah, so for context, we get a happiness object at the end of each level. I guess they're supposed to like refresh SpongeBob's memory. But basically, the definition of the category is you have to finish each level by grabbing the happiness object from that chest. So, like, for example, we mentioned hammer clipping. You can actually use a hammer clip in the first level and just completely bypass it with something called a level skip glitch, which we'll go into a bit more detail later. Yeah. But now's just kind of a good time to explain that you have to beat each level by going and hitting that happiness object from its source location for this category.
Yeah, which essentially turns it into like an all levels category and it allows you to use like any like out of bounds shenanigans you want to get to the end of the level, which is like, you know, could definitely be like a really appealing thing to new runners. Just to be like, oh, I get to see like the rest of the run and stuff.
Yeah.
Still get some really cool tricks, especially in like late game and stuff.
Yeah, here we're in the first major boss fight in the run. This game's actually separated into 3 different acts. Like, so there's a boss fight per each act. They're all robot boss fights, similar to the ones from Battle for Bikini Bottom. The first one here is Robot Patrick. It's a 3-cycle boss. We have to actually use the buff ability to actually be able to, for him to be vulnerable. You can see like on his belt, he has like a little like buff symbol, implying that we can only hit him with buff.
Yeah. Yeah, so this fight's really straightforward. Jack knows where all the robots are going to spawn in each wave, so it's just a matter of spin hopping from location to location and just getting in the damage as quickly as possible. But this fight's, compared to everything else so far, is rather straightforward, so this would be a great time for any plugs that you folks got.
Sure can, I got you. Alright, we've got a $20 donation from Black Magic Banny. It says, always had a soft spot for Truth or Square, and I'm happy to see it in this marathon. Big love to the Jackalacka.
Appreciate that. Absolute legend.
And that is going to the Star Fox 64 score attack. We've also got $50 from Pyro Cheesecake. It says, watching ESA with my wife's cousins, friends, girlfriends, brothers, nephews, sisters, husbands, dogs, nieces, uncles, cousins, boyfriends, aunt. Love this event. Thank you very much for the $50, and that is going towards Octopath Traveler Single Story Bid War for Therion. Thank you. Keep those donations coming. Don't forget, later on today, we have got 2 massive $1,000 incentives for Trackmania and Trackmania 2. Check those out. Keep getting the donations in. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, and with that, we're like at the end of the RoboPat boss fight. And also, this is like a small thing that I think some people have noticed in chat. In between like the loading screens, there's these like trivia questions that show up. And they range from like extremely easy to like just super difficult and obscure. But you guys are more than welcome to play along. Some of them are very fun.
We will judge you harshly if you get it wrong.
No.
Yes, them's the rules.
No judgment on the SpongeBob knowledge.
Best line in the game.
Jiggle me handle SpongeBob.
Oh yeah,
great line. Yeah. So a kind of common theme with the SpongeBob console games is that I think sometimes they just didn't have the money to hire Mr. Krabs' voice actor, so they actually had to get someone else in. So just kind of a cool little trivia fact, I guess, for lack of a better term. Yeah. Now
we're all about trivia.
Now we're going into Fry Cook. So this is normally a level you would not see in an any percent speedrun. So we mentioned that there's like a glitch that's banned in this category that lets you beat levels in like unintended source locations. Essentially, in most levels, the happiness objects for a given level are located outside the boundaries of the map. But if you get out of bounds and grab them, the game considers that as having beaten the level. So you can use that to, skip
cinematic cam.
Yeah, cinematic cam. That happens sometimes. So you can use these out-of-bounds glitches to skip major portions of levels. But an interesting exploit, normally you can't beat a level more than once for story progress, because the game replaces the happiness object with a blue warp. But if you revisit a level and grab the end level happiness object from Out of Bounds over and over, you can actually advance the story progress and trick the game into thinking you've beaten levels that you haven't. So because of that, in an any percent speedrun, you would actually bypass this level by beating the first level an extra 2 times with the any percent route. So
makes sense, I promise.
Yeah, I know it sounds like complete nonsense garbage, but you're gonna get to see some really cool strats, especially in this back half, which we like to affectionately call the gauntlet. We've got 3 really tough strats back to back, really tricky, especially for beginners.
Yeah.
We'll try to get through them as best as we can. As Jack gets off the bus, he's going to jump around the right side of the pier to avoid a 5-second cutscene. And then there's normally a bunch of basically pinball switches you're supposed to hit, but Jack is going to jump off of a very small platform in the middle of those propeller fans that lets you get across. Those propeller platforms are constantly spinning, so Jack has to adjust Spongebob's angle depending on where he lands, and that's just something that you learn after having done it a lot. Now, going into this next section is called Tub Skip. You're supposed to talk to Mr. Krabs and use a tub with some water to create a platform, but this rock is not completely solid. You can just face through the left side, jump to the rock, and then jump over the top.
There we go.
Yeah, that saves about 7 seconds. Now right here, he's going to jump off this barrel to get up to this part of the puzzle early, and he's actually going to hit the switch on purpose. This will keep the propeller fans locked down to the ground, so that he can jump off the second one to this lamppost and then clear the invisible wall to skip the second puzzle. Nicely done.
Yeah, this level was very fast. That was really good. This level was very fast paced too. It's constantly tricks all the time.
Yeah, the gauntlet is just very scary. It's like those propellers. If you like wait too long on them, and if you're on like the outside like circumference of the like the actual propeller itself, you can just get like launched horizontally. And I'm gonna do a little thing here called a HUD jump. I'm basically waiting until I'm basically like holding upright during this cutscene, and then when SpongeBob appears in the top left, that's when I like know that I have control over SpongeBob and I can like kind of jump during the cutscene. It's like a small movement optimization, but it's pretty cool. Just kind of like jumping through the cutscene.
Gonna get the paddle boost. Nice, let's go.
Yeah, there's no paddle boost there.
Yeah, basically anything that spins gives you momentum. So if you do if you instantly cancel a jump with a spin, you can actually ride on top of the paddle as you're activating it, and that can give you a huge boost of speed if you're standing on the correct side of it. Oh, you almost did it.
Yeah, that would've been sick.
So Jack is trying to go for ricochets off the incorrect side of each of these switches, and that will allow him to skip rotation cycles. So the rotations on those bumpers are on a set cycle, and if you hit those early, you obviously save time off the cycle. And that's the end of Right Hook. Nicely done.
Yeah, you got me scared they're going on the bus. I thought you were going to go in the center.
Yeah. So if you try to do what you do in karate, where you stand, or not karate, in Kelp, where you stand where the treasure chest is, it'll actually push you inside the bus and soft lock you. It's really bad. I've lost a run to that before.
Yeah, I always like stand there like doing IL practice, because after you like complete a level and you like go back to practice it, instead of like having like the treasure chest, it's just like a blue like warp thing from Ocarina of Time on the ground, and if you just stand on it, you don't actually get clipped through. But we're going into Santa right now. This is a really like just kind of tough like platforming level. We're going to be doing a lot of out of bounds stuff, but unlike the other ones where you have to do like a hammer clip to get out of the level, we're just gonna like jump on these ice blocks here and then jump out of bounds really easily, because the developers forgot to put collision here.
Yeah, well, no one ever expected us to get up here. Once Jack immediately takes a right, he's actually heading back towards like the start of the level by using some geometry that sticks through the invisible walls. So you're gonna see him get on top of some of these wooden boxes to gain height, and then he's gonna double jump and spin over to the platform with the opening door, or like door at the start of the level. Then this canister back here barely sticks out of the wall, so we can do a blind jump through an ice wall in order to get on a very small piece of collision out here. Now, what Jack is going to be doing is a similar strat to what he did in Kelp Forest, where he's going to try to reach a checkpoint trigger from out of bounds. That's the really scary jump, and the barrier between like where you can stand and where you just fall to your death is very thin. This game does not have coyote time at all, meaning the moment that you leave any type of floor space, you lose all of your jumps instantly. So that section is very scary.
Yeah. Also, like you can kind of mess up like the camera pretty easily on that gumball section, but they recovered like okay, so it only probably lost like a few seconds.
A lot of the pipe geometry here also just doesn't exist, so you can just phase right through it.
Here comes a fan favorite boss fight here.
Oh yeah,
The Tenderizer.
Tenderizer.
Yeah. So
Be
this
sure
is
not,
a
be sure to
really
blink.
this is a really cool strat that was found by complete accident by a runner named Cube. So what Jack's gonna do is he's gonna hit the first attack of the boss. This is normally a 6-phase fight without buff power up. He's gonna double jump into the boss when he gets clapped back, and the boss instantly vaporizes and dies. And then that's just the end of the level. So there's a couple of theories as to why that works. Our best theory is that we believe that there is a developer trigger hidden in the roof of that room that they used for testing that just instantly ends the Tenderizer boss. The reason we think that is that Heavy Iron did that a couple of other times in Battle for Bikini Bottom, so we think it might be a similar case.
I think it's confirmed it's the case because also in the Robo Patrick boss fight there is an end level trigger, but it's surrounded by death planes, so we can't access it.
Yeah. The happiness object is also underneath there. One day someone will find a way to get over there.
Someday.
One day.
Yeah, there's still a lot of stuff that like we really want to like try and find in the game that would just make it a much more optimized speedrun, especially like skipping Demento, which you'll see that boss fight a bit later on. But I'm gonna do this like little jump right here onto these two rocks just to get out of bounds, and then I'm gonna try now I'm out of bounds. I just went over like a little invisible wall.
So once Jack gets up this rock, he's going to be doing some level loading manipulation. If you get too far away from a segment of the level, it unloads to save on processing. So he's loading and unloading parts of the level so that he can gain height, and now he's standing on top of the ceiling of the second to last room in the entire level. Now Jack's going to do the same thing again. He's going to get far enough away to unload the room and then reload the room so that he can fall inside the ceiling and onto the collision and right to the final fight of the level. Nicely done. That's really, really hard strat.
Yeah, that's tough.
I will say, if you're interested in running this game, there is a way easier method of getting through here quickly via out of bounds. It's not that hard for beginners, but that strat saves about 15 to 20 seconds compared to that version. So
something I will say is that you got to end the level pretty quickly. That's because like most levels in the game actually just wrap. Like the start of the level is actually really close to the end, so like save on like. I guess I'll save on processing power. I'm assuming.
Yeah, and level size for.
Yeah, because like most big levels will start where it ends just to make it easier, and we'll see that be abused later on the run. It's like that's why we're able to just like get to the end so quickly because the levels wrap.
I thought I only hit like there are only like 14 enemies. That was weird.
Yeah, that happens sometimes in this fight. Again, with all these fights, Jack already kind of knows where all the robots are going to spawn because they spawn in a set order. That's kind of the rule of thumb with... Except for that first fight in JF. That first fight, like, I pretended to, like, explain it. Nobody really understands that fight.
Yeah.
Something else I'll mention is that... you normally don't get to see like that even though we just like broke straight to the end of the level in any percent. That level is 8 seconds long because you can actually go out of bounds to an out of bounds trigger that just ends the level instantly. So
we actually found like a more like Jackson and I found a more optimized setup for that at SGDQ 2019 in the practice room. Like we found out that you can do it without a spin because if you don't have buff, the spin like slows you down, as you've probably seen from like some of the gameplay that I've been doing, and we found a way to do it without spinning, so we saved like a second on the IL, but 7 seconds definitely is not possible.
Yes, now we're on our favorite boss fight in the run.
The
Robo Squid. This one's actually kind of cool because from concept art, we know that developers of Battle for Bikini Bottom really wanted a Robot Squidward boss fight, and we're in like the process of concepting it, but unfortunately it got cut from the final release. Probably due to unlucky. Yeah, so
that's annoying.
But speaking of luck, yeah. So Robo Squidward is very mean sometimes. Yeah. So if you get damaged out, you're gonna have to kill it. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, welcome to Robo Squid. So essentially, what's happening is when you take damage in the gumball after you deal damage to Robo Squid, it just doesn't count for some reason.
Its health bar will go down still, but it's like he still has full health.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I gotta play this super safe. Oh, okay, never mind. I got another health.
Yeah, you should be good. So this fight is normally a casual killer, but something that's really nice is that you can actually clank off of the Robo Squid's spinning attack.
Oh, that I was going completely blind there.
Yeah.
He can either go like 1, 2, or 3 hides, like with his I guess fins, and if you mess it up, then you just kind of like hit his fins, lose your buff power up. So I just kind of had to go completely blind there. I just guessed it was like 2.
Yeah. Before it becomes too late, you also might have noticed that Jack is already on the next gumball. You can actually get control over Spongebob during the 3rd phase, during the walk-in. And you can just, if you kill all the enemies, you can actually just get straight to the gumball and ride it all the way back. It doesn't save any time, but it makes the section way safer.
You also can't do it in phase 1 for some reason, but you can in phase 2.
Yeah. But you can if you die, which does not make any sense. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I've also just kind of like crashed on this boss fight. Like I once fell into the water and it tried to like send me back up, and then my game just like hard locked. It was really unfortunate. But yeah,
now we're going into Act 3. Yeah, this is we would probably all agree that the hardest level in the run is coming up, which is not to say that the previous levels weren't already really hard. This is a pretty tricky run, but this level, like, it has a lot of small and interesting skips throughout the way, but this is like the biggest test of spin hopping movement and of buff preservation. The big key here is that Jack is going to be getting a buff power up about halfway through the level, and there's a point of no return where Jack is really going to try to not take damage so he doesn't lose the power up. It's going to make several of the fights and some tricks like basically more possible.
Yeah.
Are you going to go for the fast gumball strat?
Sure.
Let's go.
Let's go! It only saves like a second, but it's super swag.
It's swag.
Swag.
Let's go!
Oh, let's go!
That jump's a lot tighter than it looks. It's very, very tight.
I have lost a run to that. Oh, no, not a run. Runs to that before. So right here, this pull is weird because it's still considered part of the jelly goo, so Jack has to angle himself in a very specific way to boost over those pillars. Yeah. Yeah, so like we mentioned, no coyote frames, so sometimes you just slip off of things even though it looks like you're still standing on them. It's part of the learning curve of learning this run, and just kills runs.
It's unlike the other heavy iron games, which those games do have like a very generous amount of coyote frames, but this game has 0.
Nice. Okay. So Jack jumps around the left side to skip a enemy spawn trigger, and now he's waiting. There's actually like a rising and lowering tide effect in this sort of stomach area of this monster. So in order to get the height he needs to actually skip the puzzle, he actually has to wait for it to rise up to a certain height in order to make the height.
Yeah, so like if it's too low, then that jump is like almost impossible. Yeah. I think it actually is impossible if it is too low.
It is, yeah. I also learned that one the hard way.
Yeah.
So we've entered the monster's mouth and now leaving his other mouth.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Where his heart is located, obviously. Is his heart here? I don't know.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so we're actually going to break his heart, sadly.
Unfortunate.
It's required to do so because it actually breaks all of his teeth for some reason. And we're gonna skip doing the intended actual way to complete this room. Actually, jump up this slope here and just go right at the end of the level, or not level, end of that room.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit.
This level is quite long.
Yeah, so Jack is actually moving in a very specific way to manipulate robot AI. So if he does it right, he's actually able to put the robots into an attacking animation as he gets there, which leaves them vulnerable to attack. So he can kill the robots and get the boxes out of the way so he can hit the switch. It's a really nice little setup. And then
there we go.
Nice. Yeah, that's this level we've skipped a lot of them already, but there are these projectile enemies called screwballs that are really good at sniping your buff power up. There is a backup in this next room over here, so if Jack loses on a geyser, it's whatever. But after this copy of the power up is what we call the point of no return in this level, where from this point forward there are no more extra buff power ups available. So Jack if he wants to do this the fastest way possible, he has to play this completely damageless.
Which is quite scary.
It is scary, but Jack also knows the backups for not having buff, which is something that everyone who runs this category knows, because it takes a long time to get to a point where you're good enough to get the buff power up to the end of the level in the first place.
Yeah. You gotta memorize where robots spawn, just like Jack is doing now. Like, he knows where all these robots about to spawn, so he can kill them as soon as possible.
That's actually in a really good spot. You kind of want like the last one to be like over by this trampoline, because sometimes it can be like all the way in the back, so that probably saved like 2 seconds over like a bad manipulation.
Yeah. Now, we got buff through here, which is really exciting. This is one of my favorite parts in like any category. This is the Boneyard. It's a giant valley of death and despair. You've got all of these like electrical hazards and giant iron fists, but it's also like some of the sickest spin hopping movement in the whole run. So I'll shut up and I'll let you all enjoy.
Yeah, basically just gonna like try and jump in this like middle one right here, and then just go over here. Yeah, like these platforms, like the bones, they're kind of like angled down on the ledges. I'm gonna jump over that. So if you go on the what? I thought it was over to the side.
Yeah.
Of it. That's unfortunate. All right, so we're going the rest of it without buff. Man, that's probably like the first like big mistake of the run. But
yeah, this run is still like cooking.
This run's pretty cooked.
Let's basically just gonna jump around it. I am so shocked.
Yeah,
that's like, I haven't seen those. I don't know if hitbox were that bad, but as far as those that hit you, but the other one did.
Yeah,
it'll be all good though.
Especially since I was kind of like over here, but you know, it's all.
That just means you'll have to get the Squidward power up at the end of this level.
Oh yeah, Squidward strats.
my biggest enemy in this game. There's a Squidward power up that you can get. Kind of like. Actually, it's the one that's that you saw in like fry cooking. I just usually don't use it because like when you shoot at like a spinning enemy with the clarinet, for some reason, or actually, I mean, like they just deflected. That's how they're programmed.
Yeah.
And so I just always like end up having like the Squidward power up and just shooting at nothing for like 30 seconds. But maybe I'm just not doing it right.
Yeah, so Jack right here is going to do another spin boost. You're supposed to use a tub to make a platform, but spin boosting is way, way faster. Additionally, if you have the buff, you want to go for that strat, because using a tub actually removes your buff power-up. So the devs kind of don't really intend you to have a buff in this area, but we're playing this buffless, so we're actually going to be seeing some different strats here. There's like a whole bunch of different ways that you can tackle this level.
Oh, I thought it was like I thought I was like getting like the super fast setup for like eel jump. This is a kind of like tight jump. There's a very small like area on the railing that you can actually like land on.
It's super slick. It makes no sense.
There we go. All right, yeah. With buff, it's like not too bad, but yeah, I mean,
without buff, it's pain.
Yeah.
That's acceptable.
I think Jack mentioned earlier that when you actually spin without buff, you go slower than normal.
Yeah, so I sadly don't get to go for the cool strat here. It's not possible.
Yeah, well, it is possible. It just sucks.
Yeah,
really bad.
So
but what Jack's gonna
do is just kind of I'm just gonna kind of manipulate these guys over to here. Just do another spin boost. They get dizzy, so let's do that one. There we go.
Yeah, you can just boost over the wall. Yeah, you can just boost over the wall. Normally, this is a set of puzzles where you're supposed to roll a bomb bot, and then you do like a cannonball ricochet. But luckily, the switches are always active, so you can just ricochet from point blank, and it's way more fun. Oh, you almost got it. I appreciate you going for it for the culture. So that's like a swag. That's like a swag strat. Spin boost that doesn't really save any time, but I always go for it because I have bad judgment.
Okay, no. I was gonna try and do like a thing where like I spun into it in between the bomb and like the little like tower thing, and I was wondering like, oh, like maybe it could like stop me and then I could just get like a quicker hit on it, but
nope.
Dreams sadly don't come true. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, not in this level.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of got this final fight here, and then we'll kind of be on the end of the level. Yeah, overall been a really sick run so far, but I guess while we're doing this fight, we could probably squeeze in some more plugs if you got anything.
I would love to. Let's get to it. Right, we have a $100 donation from Otwald. And they say, strange, I watched SpongeBob as a child, but I've never seen him use these moves. Well, good luck with the run.
Appreciate it.
And this is amazing. So in the next run we've got Saints Row, there is a bit of a bid war between having the character look like Keanu Reeves and Waluigi. And with a $100 donation...
Great combo.
So there was, I mean, Waluigi was well in the lead, and now with if you two at home for one small amount of $171 could definitely snipe the Keanu Reeves. So I mean, anyone just throw that in, that'd be great. We've got $5 from definitely Mr. Krabs, and he says ravioli, ravioli, donate your dollaroni, and that's towards Waluigi. And then we've got a $50 donation from Fallen Duma. That's going towards the secret boss psychotherapy in Katana Zero all stages. Thank you so much, everyone. Keep getting those donations in, and let's see if we can get Keanu Reeves to the top.
I'm Team Waluigi, to be honest.
I think I'm Waluigi as well.
Why do I have to choose?
I won't sway the audience's choice.
Yeah.
What if we got Waluigi with the John Wick hairstyle? Oh.
yeah, just do both.
Exactly.
That'd be whack. Yeah, no, just compromise there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Sam, do you want to cover Karate Island?
Yeah, I'll do that. So this is the final major platforming level in the run, and as I previously mentioned, most levels, like pretty big levels, will actually wrap, and you actually see the end of the level from where you start, and that's the case for this level. And in this level, we're actually doing another hammer clip at the start to actually go on top of this like tunnel area and then go right to the end immediately to the boss. And it's pretty fast. So and I'll be quiet because Jack needs to manip robots into position.
Yeah,
tricky. Yeah, I'm basically gonna like get rid of like these guys first because like the big enemies aren't what you actually use to clip. They're just really annoying. So I'm gonna like get the hammer bots over to here. Then I'm gonna stand on these little like flowers from My Pretty Seahorse. What?
Ooh.
What was that?
You got damageless.
Damageless clip.
I was gonna mention how
this clip can't be done without taking damage for some reason, and it just happened right now.
That's so sick.
That's a first for me. All right.
You take those?
Yeah, I've seen it once. I think I saw it happen to Exotic Sponge once.
Yeah. That's also, it's worth mentioning Exotic Sponge, a really great runner. He was the one that found that setup for
the wall clip.
Yeah. He's just like a great glitch hunter and just overall just great runner for the game.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's really kind of cool too because that whole sequence was like discovered part by part. It was Exotic Sponge who put the final pieces together for it. But like different aspects of like getting up the wall and like the jump to get back in bounds were found by like at least like 5 or 6 different people combined. Including like myself and Exotic Sponge, so it was just that's like a skip we were like trying to find for like 2 years. So it's really cool to like start to see that at marathons. Oh God. Yeah, so this can happen.
You be
sometimes.
Sliding though.
He do be sliding though.
Why did Demento just not stop after the second one? Like
he went. Oh, because you took a hit. That's why.
Oh, but like he went down and back, and like he just like kept going. He didn't like stop in the middle.
Still sliding.
Come on!
Yeah, so a weird thing with this boss is that if he like gets
he's going this way. What the
Yeah, so if
eventually.
If he gets like interrupted by like the boxes or barrels in this room, he can just like get stuck sliding for some reason. And, like you can tell this boss fight was definitely play tested.
Yeah, it's God, that's so annoying. The only time that's happened to me like a few times, and they've all been on like 44 pace. Like back in the day, they only happened when I was like ahead.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
That sounds oddly familiar. I wonder where.
Yeah, that was
like that happened to me.
And I think I was actually in Call of Duty Jax. I was just like, why is this happening to me?
The cha-cha slide. But yeah, Demento is a really straightforward mini-boss. We don't really have any major skips for this yet. This is kind of like the last holy grail, is like some way to either speed this up or skip it outright in this category, while still getting like the happiness objects. So maybe one day, if any of you prospective glitch hunters out there want to help us out.
This is a cry for help.
Yeah. But Jack is actually doing some manips on the boss. I thought he was going to cha-cha slide again for a moment there.
That'd be amazing.
I would be hilarious.
Would absolutely love that.
But what Jack is doing is he's manipulating the second charging attack such that the boss is in the middle of the back wall, just so that when Demento's on his way to become vulnerable, he takes the shortest path possible. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty straightforward fight, but it just takes a little bit because we're not allowed to have a buff power up here.
Yeah.
So if you got anything to read, this is a good time.
Yeah, this is a great time.
Yeah, I can certainly do that. So we've got a $10 donation from Pato, and it says, if Mitaka wants Keanu Reeves to get to the top, I'll help Keanu Reeves get to 300. Memes hype, ESA, ay. And that is towards Keanu Reeves. That is my boy. That is what I'm talking about. Keanu Reeves for the life. It's going to be amazing and win. So just for $161 now to get Keanu Reeves to the top. And just to remind everyone, we are raising money for Save the Children. They are a global leader in saving newborn lives. They continue to be at the forefront of worldwide efforts to end preventable child deaths with a focus on maternal, newborn, and child health and nutrition. It's a wonderful cause we're raising money for. Keep the donations coming. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Yeah, we're approaching the end of the boss fight. We just have one more hit here. Like, I just can't believe I got the cha-cha slide on ESA. So
the ultimate cha-cha slide.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, it's the.
You hate to see it, but also you love to see it.
You love to see it. It's that's what you get for going for the juke.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at least the juke happened. So
yeah, you got first try
happy
juke.
about that.
So yeah,
that was probably like one of the most exciting discoveries in recent times. Like just like hammer clips, really like just after that, like we found like so many more hammer clips in the community. It was like really awesome to see.
A lot of them were found again by Exotic Sponge, so huge shout outs to him for doing the science that nobody else wanted to. Because labbing hammer clips sucks.
Because you have to like get within like basically like the way we think they work is that you like basically get hit in between like the hammer's hitbox and the wall hitbox, like at a very specific angle, or not angle, but like very specific distance away from each other. So that's why like when I was doing like Kelp Out of Bounds, I did that like really specific setup, and not to like get them in the right position like on the ground, but just like the correct distance away from like the ship, because you can get it like anywhere on the ship there. It just kind of depends like how far away they are. But yeah, now we're in the final boss fight, Roboplankton. Basically just kind of works as like 3 phases of just kind of an auto scroller, and there's a lot of those like ambush sections that we were talking about throughout the run. Here I'm gonna like kind of go in like a pretty specific spot because all their positions are predetermined. So if I stand here and then spatula, I can hit like a spinning enemy and a hammer bot. And it's actually kind of we actually probably should have mentioned this in like Jellyfish. You can actually hit enemies with the hammer ability even though they're like behind you. For some reason, like the hitbox like extends like basically like all around Spongebob.
It's one of the janky hitboxes.
Yeah, hitboxes in this game are interesting to say the least. But yeah, so Jack, again, this is like sort of, even though this is like the rooftop phase, we can't do too much to speed up the movement of the boss from section to section. When we actually go inside the boss to deal damage in the core phase, there's a lot of optimization to be done because Jack will be getting a buff power-up. He went for the swag for the people. I appreciate the effort.
The trick shot.
Gotta go for it.
But yeah, just like in previous levels, Jack's going to get a buff power-up and he's going to really try to not take damage so that he can keep his spin hopping movement and higher damage output until the like back half of the third phase pretty much. So he gets the power up right there, and then he's going in a certain order so he can make sure that these hammer robots are out of the way, so that he can destroy them by the time he breaks the third generator. Yeah. And so he's good to go, because you can actually lose your buff power up during the cutscene for some reason if the enemy gets too close to you. It's whack.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny because like you don't really want the hammer bots still there, like as Jaxer just explained, but the spinning enemies can actually attack the core in addition to Spongebob, so you can actually like save like up to a second if like they actually cooperate and just get some extra hits, just wombo combo the core.
And because Jack has the buff power up here, a lot of these like super chunky robot enemies just go down instantly. The spin move, if you can't already tell, or if you haven't been able to parse before, super overpowered, super broken.
Yeah, just kind of waiting there just to make sure I don't lose buff, because like the steam and just like all like things that can take away buff are always there in the level, even if like their model isn't showing up. So I just like to wait a bit just to make sure I keep it. Although it's not too big of a deal if I like lose in phase 3, because there is like for some reason when you. All right, now that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so Jack is gonna. Luckily, there is a backup in each phase of the corner. Yeah. It just means Jack will have to go out of his way first. Normally, if you had the buff, you just go straight behind, but Jack's gonna have to go to the left first.
Yeah, I haven't had that in like a while, so I kind of forgot where it was. Also, I thought I was gonna lose it again there, but still had the iframe, so we good.
Yeah, there's a small iframe window when you get the power up. All right, good. You didn't. That hammer, that big chunky hammer robot has actually put multiple runners through the floor before, so that scared me a little bit. But we're good to go. We're in the third phase.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, it happened to me in a marathon run once.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, because didn't it happen in like Speedrun's Rochester?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a legendary emote that came out of that situation. But yeah, the final phase is kind of just like the same as before. So while we're in this segment and kind of winding down towards the end, something that we kind of wanted to mention is that like this is a really great introductory speed game for people who are looking to get into the hobby. Probably don't want to start with this category because a lot of the stuff Jack is doing is pretty advanced. But the any % run for this game is really easy and straightforward to get into. It's like, for your first run, it'll be like 40 minutes or so. We actually have a new tutorial for it with a new route on YouTube. So if you look up like Truth or Square speedrun tutorial, or probably just Jaxler on YouTube, you should be able to find it. Or it's also linked on the speedrun.com page. This is a really easy and fun run to get into, and it's on Wii and 360, which are two super accessible consoles. So yeah, if you're looking for a new speed game to pick up, we would highly recommend it. Marathon Swag, I appreciate it.
For some reason, it just didn't like register, but it's fine. When you enter like the like Roboplankton on phase 3, you automatically lose the buff power up. So I'm expecting to go over to the crate right here. But,
yeah, this is all planned.
Yeah, and timing is actually coming up in a bit. Basically, when I attack the core the final time, there's like this like white cloud that appears for an explosion. So I'll just like it's coming up in a bit.
Yeah, in a couple seconds. Get ready on time.
So here we go. Basically, time.
Nicely done.
On my end, I think like 46:04. So that sounds like pretty good.
Yeah,
I was just hoping for anything around like a 45. And just with that rock bottom, I feel like everything before that was looking really solid. So I am very happy with that run.
Yeah, that was super sick. Congrats.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for being on commentary. That was like just a massive help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess just like other shout outs, just like everybody in the SpongeBob Truth or Square community. You guys are just awesome. Like I'm just really. It's just really awesome to see just like a super dedicated community like built around this game, and just we've gotten it so far.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Shout outs to Tedious.
Shout outs to Tedious.
Shout outs to Tedious. The squadron.
You get one.
You get one. I guess a quick thing from me. I mentioned the tutorial, but we also have a speedrunning Discord for most SpongeBob games. So if whether it's this game or like Battle for Bikini Bottom or what have you, go check out speedrun.com, and if you find the leaderboard for any individual SpongeBob game, they should be able to point you in the direction of the Discord. For this game, it's /SBTOS, and our community is, like Jack said, super welcoming. We'd be happy to sit down and help you learn the run. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and a final just thank you to ESA for having us on. It was an absolute pleasure to be on here, and hope the rest of the marathon goes well.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was a fantastic job, jackalacka, and thank you, Jaxler and Bubble Bass, for helping out there as well. I would be remiss, there's one thing I must say before we move on to the next run, and that is that we've got a $70 donation from Otwald that says, "What do we say to Waluigi? No wah today." So it's $300 for Keanu Reeves. It's $365 for Waluigi. We've got Saints Row coming up next by Joe. It's going to be a fantastic run. Someone get Keanu Reeves and it will make my day. I might have to do it myself. Keep having a wonderful ESA, everyone. Don't go anywhere. We've got Saints Row coming up next.
Bye, everybody.